Hello and welcome to the live stream. Today we're talking about Ecamm Live 4.0. There is no official release date for it, but I just thought it'd be useful to go through and have a look at all of the updates that we have got coming in Ecamm Live 4.0. Anyone who's on the beta program will know that there have been lots of new features added and there's always new releases coming out. And it was only when I went back to sort of look through all of the release notes of all of the different versions of the beta that I realized just how many there are. So I thought it worth just sort of reflecting on that, because when you get these sort of incremental beta updates, you sort of lose track of, what's the new features and what are, not yet in the sort of main sort of public release, if you like, of Ecamm. So if I just come over to this this shot here, we're on beta number 24 of Ecamm Live 4 at the moment. Now, they did say, by they, I mean the massive team of developers, Ken and Glenn, the twins, in their Q&A last month or December, whenever it was, that there's going to be no new sort of major new features added from now. So there have been some really pretty big features that I'll be running through that have been added. So there's going to be no new sort of major things added. Although there was an update that came in just yesterday, beta 24, and that added something to me that for me is massive, which is that it now takes comments from Amazon Live and can bring those in. So this is something where not many platforms really, I think there's Be Live, which is a sort of multi-streaming web-based platform. They have Amazon comments, but nobody else seems to have Amazon comments. So it's great that we've got those in. But in any case, before digging into any specific comments, but that was just yesterday that came out, let's just have a little look at all of the new features that have been added in over the past 23 betas. And as you can see, the list sort of just keeps going on and on and on. Now, some of these are fixes, as you can see. Some of them are, adjustments and tweaks and whatever. But there is still a mass of really sort of new features that have been added. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is just sort of running through all of these things to see what some of these sort of headline features are. Hey, Kath, great to see you here, and great to see you too, Mr. Moderator, the moderator himself, Paul Duncan. Great to see you in the chat as well. But look at this. I mean, I'm talking and it's still going on and on. It's just never ending scrolling of features. And we're there. That's beta 4. I think that was the first one. I mean, but these things just come out and you'll get like one big major beta release, and then there'll be a load of sort of small incremental fixes and then another big one. And by the way, if you are not on the beta program and you'd like to join it, there's no sort of barrier to entry, as it were. You can just go and download it. The link is in the description. It runs in parallel to the main Ecamm version, so you don't need to worry about, do you have to choose one from the other. They're both two separate apps that will sit in your dock, and you can choose one or the other. And there is an Ecamm Live beta Facebook group as well. I've linked that in the description, and obviously there's a specific channel in the Discord for it as well. So just a quick couple of hellos again. Hey, Kath, great to see you here. Look at that. My thing is a bit small, isn't it? There we go. Don't take that and clip it and take that out of context. Then we've got Mr. Moderator Paul in the house as well. Rebel Without a Reason, great to see you here as well. And Rich, it is indeed a massive list. Hope your trip all went well. I think you're back now, but I hope you had a great trip, Rich. So let's start with one of these headline new features, which is multi-streaming, and that is something that has been, a lot of people have been asking for this. And I actually put on the thumbnail. I mean, this thing, my thumbnail, which was this for this particular live stream. These are things that I know that people have been asking for a long time in the Ecamm group, and we've basically got all of those things, and it's amazing, really, that they have sort of packed all of those things into this one update that is coming soon. But multi-streaming is a thing that a lot of people have asked for. And the funny thing about multi-streaming for me is that I didn't really do multi-streaming before. And then just around the time that we got it in the beta, I started producing my podcast, and my Live Streamer Backstage podcast. I actually stream to LinkedIn and to Amazon, because I'm interviewing fellow live streamers about their journey, if you like, and how they're using live streaming for their business, hence the LinkedIn side of things. But then also we spend some time at the end talking about studio setups, so hence the studio side and the products, and so that's why I'm streaming that to Amazon. So although I post it on my YouTube channel, and if you're only watching me on YouTube, then you'll see that I do post the recordings, but they're actually streamed live to, as I say, Amazon and LinkedIn. And so I was, over the moon that we'd got this multi-streaming, because that would enable me to do that. And I promptly cancelled my Restream subscription, which I was only ever really using for doing like Restream pairs and things like that. And then I realized that there is sort of one caveat with this multi-streaming, which is that it does take the sort of lowest common denominator in terms of stream resolution. So if you're going to stream, as I have been, to Amazon and to LinkedIn, LinkedIn, the resolution, the max there is 1080, whereas on Amazon, it's actually 720. So what that means is when you're in Ecamm and you have to set your resolution, the stream resolution, you have to set it to basically what the lowest is, because the others can't, you know, Amazon won't be able to accept a 1080p. You have to be very specific about what you're sending it. So right at this moment, I'm still using Restream, ironically, for the time now that I'm starting to stream to multiple platforms. And that is because with Restream, what I can do is, and I should say as well, it's because I'm recording these, I want to have the higher resolution recording. So what I can do is I can set my Ecamm to record at 4K. And then what I actually do is have Restream open in the browser and use the Ecamm Live virtual camera to go into the browser. And then the browser is then Restream, and that is then streaming to the platforms. There's another side benefit to this, which is Restream then also keeps a recording and also keeps the connection open if anything happens with you know, with Ecamm or on anything on my side or anything like that. So there's another little side benefit there. But yeah, that thing of having a different resolution for your recording and for streaming is not there yet. So all put your feature requests into Ecamm for that, so that we can actually toggle different stream resolutions per stream. The other thing I should say about the multi-streaming, just so that people are aware, is that whereas a service like Restream or StreamYard or anything like that, they are web-based, and basically what you're doing is you're streaming out once to that platform, and then they're dealing with all of the, you know, streaming to all the different platforms. With Ecamm's multi-streaming, you're basically streaming to each individual destination from your computer. And what that means is you need to make sure that you've got the bandwidth to actually handle, you know, a stream going to YouTube, a stream going to Facebook, a stream going to wherever it is. So you're basically multiplying the bandwidth requirement that you've got for, you know, sending up the stream going to those platforms. Ecamm does now come with a built-in speed test, though, which is really helpful. So let me just open this for a second. I'll come over to my demo mode for a second, and I'll show you in, if I come into settings, we've now got a setting in, if I come to stream, we've got this setting here where you can choose the required speed for however many places you're streaming to, and it will actually tell you the required stream speed requirements. So that is showing you basically how many different places you can stream to at your given resolution. So at the moment, I think this is actually in 4K. So that's basically telling you how much your requirement is. So just think, if you want to stream to 10 destinations, you're going to need a high, you know, a bandwidth for the upload. So just do bear that in mind. That is a sort of limitation of it, that sometimes people ask for all these things, but then maybe some of them might not entirely be possible on your computer. So that is the multi-streaming. With multi-streaming as well, they have updated the scheduler as well. So it's now easier to schedule to the different platforms. I can't really demonstrate that whilst I am actually streaming. But yeah, they've updated the scheduler, so now you can basically just add, you know, whichever destinations you want it to go to. And a lot of the sort of fixes that they've been over all of those beta releases have been basically little tweaks and adjustments. And that's obviously the point of beta, is for people to try all of these things out. Let me just have a quick check in here with the chat. It is indeed going to be a massive update. I always feel that. I mean, the 3.8 or whatever it was, the last main release, you know, that the whole tagline for that was game changer. But they all seem to be quite a lot of game changer, really. Hey Jim, great to see you in the chat. Thanks for stopping by. Can you save profiles for use on the new beta? Yeah, you can actually, because what happens is, although the beta and the regular version sort of stand side by side, as it were, as separate apps, they do still share the same sort of underlying profiles that you've got. So if you set up some profiles in the beta and then go into the regular version, you will see that those profiles are there. And there's something to that. What you may want to do is, if you're experimenting with things in the beta, yeah, you may want to just sort of duplicate duplicate an existing profile and play with it in there, just so that there's nothing happens that you go back to the original version. If you do flip back to the original version, or the main version, whatever you want to call it, I'm not quite sure what the name for that is, but yeah, if you're flipping from the beta to the regular, then yeah, if you've made some changes in the beta that I don't know, can't be implemented quite the same in the regular version, then yeah, that's just something to be conscious of. So you may want to just sort of duplicate your profile and have that as the one that you're working with. I tend to just use the beta all the time. I mean, you've always got to give that caveat of don't use the beta for mission critical work or anything like that, but I kind of use it exclusively, really, and I found it to be pretty stable. There's only been a couple of things where there's been like an actual bug that has caught me out as such. So yeah, but they do run in parallel, but they share the profiles. So just go ahead and just sort of duplicate a profile if you just want to have a play around with it. And are those embedded links? I'm lost the context for that. Is that the links to the beta? I'm not sure what the context. Just refresh my memory what we were talking about there. If you're talking about links to the beta and links to the Facebook group and so on that I mentioned earlier, maybe that, then I put those in the description of the live stream, not the chat, but the description. Hello, Marine Axe. Thanks for kicking the door in. I shall put that back on its hinges a little bit later. Great to see you here. All going well. So that is multi-stream. The other thing about multi-streaming, where am I now? Oh, I've actually mentioned it already. Never mind. There isn't another thing about multi-streaming. It was the resolution thing that I wanted to just address, but there we go. I see. Do PNG files show up in Ecamm or only JPEG? Yeah, PNG files show up indeed in Ecamm. Let me just get that message up. There we go. Yeah, any image file that you've got, you can just basically drag and drop it into Ecamm, and it will show up. In fact, this one here that I just dragged over the top, this one, that is just a PNG file. I can zoom out. That's just a PNG file, and you can sort of move it around on the screen, put it wherever you want. And yeah, so just dragging and dropping stuff. The same goes for movie files, actually. Dragging and dropping them onto the screen just works. And by dragging and dropping them onto the screen, what I mean is if you've got an image file, you just literally drag it and drop it over this. This is called the main window, this one here that's got all the controls on it. Drag and drop it, and it will drop onto there. So yes, in answer to your question, they do indeed accept PNG or JPEGs. For streaming through Amazon and such, so the embedded links, I'm still not entirely sure the the thing there. If you mean I'm still not sure the context of that. I'm probably just being dumb. That often happens. I find that I lose about 75% of my brain processing power whenever I'm live streaming for some reason. Yeah, I'm still not quite sure what the context of that is. So are those embedded links for streaming through Amazon and such? Yeah, still the way it works is, yeah, in Amazon you have are those embedded links that let you stream onto Amazon? So when you're streaming onto Amazon, yeah, it's a bit of a weird thing with Amazon live streaming. In fact, let me just show you this, because with Amazon, what happens is you basically have an app on Amazon, and the way it works is you run the live stream from the Amazon app, which is a bit of a pain, to be honest. I don't quite understand why they've done it in this way. I can understand that you've got to set the thing up, but you can't even set the stream up for an Amazon live stream on the browser. You have to open this Amazon Live app. And of course, when you do a demo, it always seems to take forever to load up. But let me just show you. This is so you've got this Amazon Live app, and there you basically schedule your stream. And then once you've scheduled a stream, if I go in and just I'll just duplicate one of these and show you. Let me see. I'll just schedule a new stream. This will make sense in a minute. You've got to add at least one product. Let me just quickly add a product. Okay, and then you get a link from the Amazon app. Let me give it a title as well. Give it a random title. Okay, so with the video source on the Amazon app, you can, because what they're doing is they're setting it up so that you can stream from the phone. You're probably not going to be able to see that. Never mind. But you have to basically select that you're going to use an external camera, and then you get the stream key. So for Amazon, yeah, you get this external link and a stream key. And so when you're scheduling in Ecamm, then basically there's a place to select Amazon, and then you paste in the stream link that you get from Amazon, and so that's how it streams to there. I can't really demonstrate this, unfortunately, because as I'm live streaming, I can't go and schedule a new stream. But I have got a video about Amazon live streaming on my channel, I think. But I'm going to do a whole series on Amazon specifically, you know, sort of getting up and running with it. So I don't feel I've answered that very well, but there you go. I'll try and do better in the future with an actual dedicated video. So you have an iMac 2020. Where's this gone? You have an iMac 2020 which does not have the M1 chip. Does Ecamm 4 allow for more than 4 guests on Mac with that? No. So the limit for the for Ecamm. So I'll come on to that, in fact, because that is one of the next features is about this interview mode, which is that you can now have. On M series Macs, you can have up to 10 guests as opposed to the current limit, which is 4. But yes, first of all, sorry. Hi, Comic Boom. Great to see you here. But yeah, the limit is still there of 4 for the Intel Macs. And it's just because of the processing power required. So yeah, sorry about that. It is it's just still 4 for that. I mean, that's something to bear in mind, though, with all of these things where we're doing either multi-streaming, multiple additional guests, because that is basically inbound signals from all of those people as well. So that is a bandwidth requirement, to receive all of that. And then there's processing of, you're not just processing one video on the screen. If you've got 10 guests, you're processing 10 videos on the screen and so on. So it's just down to the processor power required. And I guess really Ecamm have just got to be conscious of not giving people a load of features that they then go and turn on and try and use when the hardware won't deal with it. So yeah, unfortunately the 4 guest limit still does apply to the M1 chip. And the other thing about the interview mode as well, which is upgraded, is previously the feed from the interview guest was 720, whereas now it's 1080p on those guest feeds as well. So that was, they would upscale it, and it does, Ecamm does a great job of upscaling. I mean, this is now a Sony ZV-E10, but prior to that, for the past 18 months or whatever, I've been using a Canon EOS 60D 12-year-old camera plugged in over USB. So I was only ever getting a 720 signal out of that in any case over USB. And so Ecamm's just been scaling up. So all of my videos for the past however long have technically only been a feed coming in from the camera at 720, but Ecamm's just upscaled it to whatever. So it does do a good job of upscaling, but I digress. The point is, though, that interview mode is now 1080 rather than 720. So all of those individual feeds are 1080. So another feature that has been added, and by the way, I should just say that there's all of these new things that have been added, and one of the things that I'm going to be doing is updating all of my Ecamm Live Masterclass. So my Ecamm Live Masterclass is over 140 lessons that are basically taking everyone from beginner through to advanced of Ecamm Live and all of the associated things around that as well. And if you want to try it out, go to ecammlivemasterclass.com. And if you do sign up to that, then you get lifetime access. And that includes all future updates to Ecamm as well. So the idea being that it is your sort of online encyclopedia if you want to find anything out. It's all subdivided into short little lessons. So if there's anything you want to know how to do, you'll be able to just go into this one place and find it. And as I say, it's lifetime access with all future updates. And I'll be updating all of the videos in line with all of the updates for Ecamm as soon as they are in those major releases. So as soon as Ecamm 4 is out, this will all be refreshed where necessary to include all of those updates. Part of the reason for doing this is I've got so many videos on my channel all about Ecamm, but technically, a large percentage of them are out of date because some or all of the information you do differently now. So that was the reason for me to create it. And as I say, you can find out more at ecammlivemasterclass.com. Just to say something, yeah, I totally agree, Marine X. Who the heck wants to wrangle 10 guests on screen? It is pretty pretty epic, really. There is another side to that, though, which is that you may well have 10 people calling in, but then only have some of them on screen. So there was previously a limit of 4, even just to be in the waiting room. So at least now you've also got the option to have maybe more people dialed in, as it were. And then, if you're doing a sort of panel thing where you want to have, 4 people on screen and then, another 4, if you're doing like a virtual conference or something like that, there is that limit. But I know there will be people who will have 10 people on screen, and it's a little bit too much. I certainly don't want to wrangle all of those people for sure. Hey, Parker, great to see you here as well. Thanks for stopping by. And Mr. Elo, great. Love to see the avatar there as well. Thanks, Dina. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for the wise words. I'll pay you. Send you the check in the post. I wonder how Ecamm and YouTube's new Go Live Together feature will play. I've not really played with the Go Live Together feature, and I'd got it in my head that was a mobile thing. I may be wrong about that, but the thing about with any of these features, and I'm just purely speculating, but anything where you've got a virtual camera going in, or you're streaming, Ecamm's basically just replacing whatever that streaming interface is. So I'd thought that the Go Live Together thing, I thought from what I'd seen, that was a mobile thing. But if it is something that can be just done regularly with YouTube, I would imagine that from just each person's perspective, they would just be feeding in that, their side would come from Ecamm. So, yeah, I'm not sure about that. And I don't know if it does go live together. I'm just purely speculating, as I say. Is that where you can have something streaming to 2 places at once, as in 2 different channels, a bit like the Restream pairs? As I say, I thought it was a mobile thing where one person's streaming and someone else jumps on that way, but we'll see. Yeah, you are going to need, for that multi-streaming, you're going to need a host who is certainly in control to wrangle all of those people. So that was, the multi-streaming really, and the interview mode. Another big one, though, is the, 2 things actually that are kind of linked, which is the camera switcher and the isolated video feed. So this is another one of these ones that a lot of people have asked for isolated video. And what does that mean? Well, that is where basically you can be streaming, but you're recording individual video feeds as well. So just like now I'm speaking to you, but then maybe I've got another camera angle over here, I've got another one over here. Well, what if you wanted to actually record those as individual camera feeds as well? Or, more often the case, it's if you are doing something with an interview and where you want to have an individual video of each of your guests, for example, because they might be, especially with 10 guests, might be little squares on the screen. Maybe you want to keep the sort of full screen or full resolution feed from those guests as something that you're going to use to repurpose. So just coming onto this, Mr. MR1950 or Mr. 1950, hello, great to see you here. Whoops, put that back again. Anyway, Ecamm ISO side-by-side video, any way to pull that off? So if you mean, I'll just explain a little bit more about ISO video, shall I? Maybe it'll get answered. Hello, Miss Houston, great to see you here, and much joy to you too. So the way that the ISO works is it's kind of in tandem with this new camera switcher that we've got in some respects. So let me just come into my demo mode and I'll show you how that looks. In the top corner of Ecamm now, we've got this extra little icon just up in the top corner up there, which opens up this camera switcher. Now you'll remember, I say you'll remember, like it's not there. It's probably just there right now, but I've turned it off on mine. That's why. But we do have this camera switcher, which is on the screen. So this is how it is, presently. Now I always found that a little bit of an annoyance because I don't tend to use the scene source as a camera. I tend to use camera overlays instead. And in that case, this was a little bit redundant for me in that case because it didn't actually switch the camera overlays. It only switches when you've got the scene source. So one thing that they've done in the update is actually allowed you to toggle that off. So you can come into settings, general, and show camera switch in main window. So we can turn that one off. and then it just disappears. But we've now got this new floating window, which is a completely separate camera switcher, just like this. And what that allows you to do is not only switch the cameras from this separate window, which you could do from the little window before, but it's actually far more powerful than that, because a lot of people want to have something like you may see, on an 8M Mini or something like that. You can have it putting out to a monitor that just basically shows you all of the different cameras you've got attached as a way to monitor them. So this can be used in effect like that, because now we've got this floating window. You can actually zoom in on the cameras and zoom out. So I could just have, a monitor that is a just sort of view of all of the different cameras that I've got attached. Now, actually, I have got different cameras attached. I've got more than this. But just as before or just as we can currently do, I would say before, it's just because I don't use these things. As we can do in the current version of Ecamm, is you can come into camera and you can see you've got a list of all the different cameras that you've got attached, and you can choose which ones that you want to include in that camera switcher. So here you can see that there's some of these that I've just deselected because I don't want them to be included. Well, we can also do that here. So where I've just got these 4 primary cameras that I want to include in my Ecamm camera switcher, I can also come down here and click on this little plus icon, and we can add another camera. So these are the ones that are currently not in the camera switcher. So those ones down there are not in the camera switcher. So I could just add those in if I wanted, and they would just appear here. So that is what sort of one use case of this camera switcher is, just being able to have, a sort of monitor window to see what all of your cameras are. And as I say, for this, I pretty much know that these are all just different views of the same thing. But it does also add in the guests. So if you've got multiple different guests in, that can be useful if the guests aren't necessarily in the scene. And to come back to that point we were talking about with, who would have 10 people in the stream. Well, maybe, as I say, it might be, 4 people on the stream and another 4 waiting, or whatever it is, depending on how your panel's running. Well, this would mean that you'd be able to see, what was going on with those other guests, even if they're not directly in the scene as such. The other thing that is useful in here is you'll know that we've obviously got camera settings, camera effects, where you can change the different settings of your individual cameras. Well, we can actually sort of easily access this from here as well. So if I click on this one, this is the little camera icon just here, the little magic wand icon, I should say. And if I click that, you'll notice that what happens is it should change to, let me come over to here. It should change to that particular camera. So it's changing the camera effects to that camera. And obviously you can just come and do it in here as well. But I just find that if you've got these 2 things open, using this to change the settings is quite an efficient way to do it. The other thing that you've got as well is we have got these showing in this window, but what if you just want an individual camera output of any one of these? You can actually select, so show source in separate window. So let me say I want to show this one, show source in separate window. It's probably going to put it somewhere where I don't want it. Oh, surprisingly, it's put it right there. So the use case for this is, imagine if there's one particular camera that you want to have going out to a monitor, in a studio or something like that. Then you can actually pop each of these out individually into their own window as well. Show in separate window. That's come somewhere massive. Get that out of the way. I'll make that a bit smaller. It's not letting me make that smaller. I tell you what, I'll just close that and I'll pretend that never happened. Something weird's going on there. That's with my computer rather than this. Let me show this one in a separate window. That's a bit better. So yeah, if you wanted to, you might have a dedicated monitor for each of these, and obviously this can move over to another monitor. I've just got a monitor over to the side, so I can move it over to there. But there's lots of reasons why, if you're doing something in a sort of more professional studio situation, that you might want to have these things displayed in their own windows on a dedicated monitor or something like that. So that's another nice little feature of the camera switcher. And I'll just come to that in a minute, actually. I'm just talking to myself here. Hey, James. Great to see you here. Thank you for stopping by. Comic Boom, just to quickly answer this, I'd love if Ecamm had a feature to allow recording on a YouTube short template as opposed to only the full 16:9. I can do shorts on my phone, but it would be cool if Ecamm allowed it to. So you can actually do that. If you come into the output here, and then you go to options, stream size, stream shape, I should say. The default here is 16:9, as you can see, but you can actually do it tall 9:16. I can't do that right now because it is grayed out because I'm streaming, obviously. But what you'll find is when you do that, you will notice that the Ecamm window looks exactly the same aspect ratio as this. However, it's the strip down the middle. You'll see what I mean if you try it, but there's a strip down the middle. So if you see the Ecamm main window still looking like this with all of the controls, but there's a black strip down the middle, or rather two at the either side, and you'll find that there's that central area that you can put stuff in, and the same resolutions will apply. So you can still come in here, change the stream shape to tall, and the stream size will still apply. So if you've got 4K, it will be 4K vertical, and if you've got high resolution, it will be instead of 1920 by 1080, it will be 1080 by 1920. Yeah, that's the way that I've recorded pretty much all of the shorts or long form videos that I've recorded. So yeah, you certainly can do that. So I digress. I just wanted to clear that off while I'd noticed it. Hey, Chris, great to see you here as well. Thanks for stopping by. I always appreciate the people staying up late in the UK. Or maybe it's just me that I'm weird that I go to bed really early. So the other thing about the camera switcher, though, and this is really quite a massive one, for a number of reasons, is as well as having all of these different cameras in this switcher, what they've also got is this thing called placeholder cameras. And this is signified by, at the top, you can see all sources, whereas over here, you can see A and B. And that is for an A and B camera, or in fact, you can add multiple. So here you can see I've got camera A, and I've selected what camera that is. Here I've got camera B, and I've selected the camera there, camera C, camera D, and so on. And you can add in multiple different cameras. Now, why is this important? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, is there is a slight issue with cam links. So the cam link 4K that a lot of people use for going into taking their camera, the HDMI from their camera into Ecamm, then they'll use these cam link 4Ks, a capture card. But there's an issue with the Mac does not give them all a unique address, or they do not give the Mac a unique address. And so what that can mean is if you've got multiple cameras plugged in with, say, 1, 2, 3, or in Keith Pelzer's case, 7 capture cards, then what can happen is when you shut down your Mac and then reopen your Mac again, sometimes the Mac might get those in different orders. And what that means is you've set up your scenes in Ecamm, and then suddenly what you thought was your primary camera is now showing up in a scene with a different camera, and so it can get them all sort of switched around. That is an issue. There is another fix for this, by the way, which is to get a powered hub that they plug into and then just basically start them all in sequence. So if you've got one with little switches on, you can basically power on the cam links in a certain sequence every time, and then it will maintain that thing. But that's a bit of a workaround. But what Ecamm have done then is they've put in this concept of placeholder cameras. And so that means that when you're building out your scenes, instead of selecting, if I just come back to my demo mode, instead of like for here, for example, if I was going to add a camera overlay, where's my overlay? I'll just add another random camera overlay. I'll make that a bit smaller. Whoops. That's a bit too small, probably. Instead of coming into the selector here, where we select the camera, instead of choosing a specific camera like the Canon or the capture card or whatever, you've now got these ones up here, which are camera A, camera B, camera C, and whatever. This is however many. The default will be A and B, by the way, but then you'll find that as you add more into this switcher, they will appear in there. So that is really useful for a couple of reasons. First of all, it means that if you set up your scenes and you're setting up lots of different scenes, just use this one here, the placeholder cameras. So choose camera A, B, and C, and then come into the switcher and select the camera that you want to assign there. Then, if you do have multiple cam links, for example, and you restart your computer and you find that they're in the wrong place, instead of having to go through each scene individually to reassign the camera, you can basically just come in here and say, well, actually, this one I want to be, this other one, for example, change that to that, and it will just update all of those scenes as necessary. So if I come back in here, switch that one out. So that is the way that you can do that. Now, what I've done here, I've actually switched the scene source. So let me do this. I'll just come in here and switch this one out for here. Where are we now? It's because I've locked this. That's why. And by the way, if you have got the reason for that happening, by the way, that was a user error. The scene as well. You can obviously switch cameras. So if you've got the scene source, so the main camera in the background is the scene source. So now I can just switch out cameras in the scene source by clicking on any one of these as well. So I can swap to any one of those cameras. But that is one reason to use the placeholders. Is it means if ever you need to go and or you move your cam links around or you switch your cards out or whatever, you can always just go and easily reassign those. Another reason why this is useful though is if you are somebody who has a business or wants a business where you actually provide pre-made scenes for people. So that is something where you might want to create a whole series of either a template that you want to provide to someone as a download, and then in that case you can just put placeholder cameras in each one where they need to be, for their main camera or whatever, and then the user or the person on the other end can then just go and select their camera once for each of those placeholders, and it will populate them all in the right place. Or maybe you're doing something where you're producing something in a team, and one person's creating the scenes and the other person is actually running the show or whatever. This just sort of speeds up that whole workflow. So there's another reason though to just talk specifically about these placeholders though, which is that we talked about ISO video, and that is kind of linked to this this camera switcher here, or specifically the placeholder cameras. So ISO video allows you to record an individual video as well as anything else that's going on in the scene. So let's say I'd got a scene, maybe something more like this one, for example. I might have a scene like this, which is actually just sharing part of the screen. Let me just move this one out of the way. So this scene that I've got here might be what's going out live right now, and it's just basically a screen share. It's got my camera in it, but let's say that I wanted my full frame camera feed as well. So as well as this, I also wanted to be capturing the main sort of full frame camera. Well, that's what ISO video is. It's going to capture not just what's going out on the recording, but these other cameras as well. And that is in Stream. So you'll notice as well, by the way, just the Ecamm Live preferences window itself, they have made a couple of tweaks to this in terms of, or adjustments that they've sort of split things out. And so they have now got this recording tab. So previously they had stream and video and audio, and there was something to record ISO audio before. We could do that since I forget which version number that came in. But now basically this isolated stuff to do with recording, they've moved it all into this recording tab. So here you've got the option to record all broadcasts. And then what we've got is the option to stream 2 of your connected cameras. So there is that limit at the moment. I've got 4 cameras connected at the moment. I can't record all of those as isolated feeds. It's only 2 of them. And again, this comes down to a processor thing. If you open it up to be able to record multiple different cameras, then people could quickly chew up all of their processing power because it is basically doing, multiple times the workload. So if you're streaming at 4K and you're also recording a camera at 4K, or in fact, I think the limit of the cameras, it might be 1080, in fact. But in any case, if you're streaming it and then you've got recordings of each of these individual cameras, the computer is having to actually encode that video of each of those live as well. So you have got this added workload that you need to just bear in mind. But the point is that you can choose which specific cameras you want to record as isolated video. So here you got camera A and camera B. And what you'll notice is that camera A, it's saying that this is this particular capture card. Camera B is Camlink 4K, and that directly links to the sources that we've got in here. So in this switcher here, you can see that is the live streamer Cap 4K capture card is the one that I've got selected for camera A. That is what is being recorded, and that happens to be this one that you're looking at right now. So you do get this sort of indication of which one you are recording. But you also can capture all of the interview guests. And as I say, they're coming in at 1080p and they'll be recorded at 1080p as well. And that is something to be aware about, because here you can be just, choose an individual camera out of these two. If you select interview guests, it is going to record a separate file for all of them. So if you then have 10 people on the call, and you're recording all of those videos, just bear in mind the hit that you're going to be taking from a processor point of view. The other thing to note here is this one: apply camera effects to recorded video sources. So you can either just record as is, so the camera without any effects. If you're going to be doing any sort of if I can say that right, post-processing of the video, then you'd want the sort of clean feed without any of those effects applied. But then if you are actually just going to do all of these sort of tweaking, making color adjustments and things like that, you may be doing that to your guests, for example, on interview mode. You may be sort of moving their position on screen and cropping them if they're, sort of sitting down like this. So you may have sort of resized them or whatever on the screen. So those camera effects, anything that you've got applied in the camera effects window, you're basically choosing for camera A. So here you can see I've got a slight zoom on this particular camera. If I come down, there's a couple of other things applied in there as well. So you're basically deciding, do you want those things to be included as well? Record isolated audio tracks. That's something that we've had since whatever version it was. That was previously in the audio section. That has now moved into the recording section. And so, that is now added into there. This one, by the way, is the record only countdown, which is when you go to record. Some people had asked for a countdown timer so that, when you hit the record button, it goes 3, 2, 1, and then starts. Personally, I didn't like that feature because I just want to hit the record and then I'm looking straight ahead and go. I don't want to be looking off to have to watch a time or anything and then look back. So I just prefer to press the button and go. But they've given us the option for that. So that's just what that one is, just while we're here. Record only countdown. If you want to have that countdown when you start recording or live streaming, as in, to count you in before it even, not a live stream countdown, which I've done away with as well. But that's just what that is for. That's no problem about the thing. It's easy to miss these things. There's so many features, and you sort of go through and don't necessarily notice all of the things that are in there. Hey, Richard, great to see you here. Thank you for stopping by. And that is the other one, of course, Paul. Indeed, that not only is it an encoding issue of this isolated video, but it is also a storage issue, because then you're producing multiple different files for each recording. And by the way, if you have got these either isolated audio or isolated video, then instead of just getting a single file out, you'll basically get a folder for each recording that you do that will have all of these files in. And that can quickly add up if you're adding multiples of all of those things. So great point, Paul. And it's worth just reiterating this, because as I say, I think a lot of people ask for features, thinking, it'd be great if we could X, Y, and Z, without necessarily thinking about the overall sort of hit or the processing or storage that's involved in all of those things. So does the number of different Ecamm profiles I have saved impact any aspect of the quality of the stream? I want to create more profiles as the 3 I use are getting cluttered. Not at all. It doesn't have any issue there. It doesn't impact at all on the quality of the stream. No, I mean, if you look at my this particular profile, I'll just sort of share that. Let's have a look. Where has it gone? Lost my thing there. So I mean, this is my list of scenes for this for Take One Tech. So these are different things that I do. I've got a load here with videos for like B-roll and stuff like that. So when I do things like I did the thing about the Rodecaster and the release and the Stream Deck, so I put in a load of B-roll. So I've got all those here. So there's lots of scenes just in this one profile. And then if I come to my profiles list, I've got all of these different profiles for different use cases that I have for Ecamm as well. So no, the actual number of profiles you've got has sort of no bearing on the actual stream performance. I'm hesitating here because with the actual profiles themselves, having a big load of scenes in there like that, what you can find is that if you go to export a profile, so you can just go to Profile, Export Current Profile. If I try and export this one, then it does sort of whir around a little bit trying to think about it, because I've got lots of embedded videos and stuff like that in there. So that is one thing, is when it comes to exporting it, that you can find that you get big file sizes as well, because it's got all of that embedded stuff in it if you're exporting it. But in terms of just having multiple profiles, not at all. It doesn't have any bearing on the actual stream performance or anything like that. And question here, when I record, first of all, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by. When I record the video ISO, I believe it's 1080. That's correct. Yes, it is. But if I mark streaming as 4K, does setting the ISO in video change the main? No. So the ISO recording is maxed out at 1080. So you're correct there. And by the way, this is an M1 feature. First of all, but also it is a pro feature as well. So I should just mention that. But no, it doesn't affect the stream. So the stream's still going to be defined by whatever you set it as in the settings. So by that I mean in here, options, stream size. So whatever you set in there will still be the main sort of output on the main video that you get as the recording, or the stream will still be like that. It's just the isolated videos that you get in addition to that do have that cap of 1080. Yeah, that's just to answer that question. Oh, that is obviously, yes, sorry. I say obviously. Only one profile is available at any one time. So, and you can't switch it mid-stream as well. Yeah, so if you've got the way that I think about profiles is that I have a profile for each sort of use case. So my Take One Tech recording on this channel, I have one profile. I have a separate one for Amazon live streaming. I've got separate ones for vertical video and stuff like that. So they are for each individual use case, rather than having everything all in one. So technically all of these, I mean, a lot of this, I should probably clean it out really, but a lot of those scenes that I showed you, they are all things that I use literally for my videos on this channel. So, I mean, all of these that we're just scrolling through there, that was for B-roll scenes, for one thing or another. So I have that set up so that basically this is going to be completely out of context, but if I just click on this one now, for example, whoops, I'll tell you what, can't locate file. That's because I haven't even got that file on here anymore. Let me try this one, see if this will work. But yeah, this sort of thing. So I could flick to, it's almost like a little B-roll cut-in. This was when I was talking about Rodecaster, and then it'll do this, and then it'll flick back to the main camera again. And there we go, can't find that file, so I'll just skip that for now. But that's the point of all of those scenes down there. So if I just collapse these ones, yeah, so I've still got quite a lot of scenes that I use just for Take One Tech. So let me just see what's happened there. I'll tell you what it is. I've added in another camera. So let me take that one out a second. And what we'll do is I'll go to, where am I now? Just drop this one out. I've somehow added in, an extra camera that I want to add in. There we go, that's better. Come back to that one. So yeah, that was just the profiles though, just to digress further. The profiles, think of one as, for each use case that you've got for Ecamm. That's the way that I think about it. So yeah, ISO is only 1080 per source. Yeah. So follow-up question then, and by the way, that kind of related to that is the feed coming in from interview mode as well. They're only 1080, no matter what somebody's putting in at the other end. The feed for interview mode is coming in at 1080 as well, which has been increased from 720, which is in the current main version of Ecamm. Just in case that was anything related to, I suppose that's a good time to mention the Creators podcast, because that's the podcast that I do with Rich and Dina, who's in the chat as well, and Keely, Michelle, Rich. Am I missing anyone? think I got us all. But yeah, we do the Creators Pod podcast, which is our little mastermind, and then we do a podcast where we talk all about the ad journeys as creators and the things that we're dealing with. So you can find a link to that in the description, and also I've just dropped it into the chat as well. But yeah, just wondering if that was, we record that with Ecamm, and just as an aside, the way that works is that Rich runs two versions of Ecamm on his on two separate computers. One of them runs interview mode that we've got set up with us all coming in, but then Rich dials in as well from his other computer, and then we're all recording locally most of the time. Usually it's me who screws things up, but we all record locally at 4K, and then we're all going into the interview mode on that secondary computer at Rich's, so that then we've got the sort of the sort of mixed together version, but then we've also got the isolated videos as well. I thought I mentioned Rob, but he is indeed forgettable. So yeah. Follow-up question though. Oh, I think I've answered that already. I'm getting ahead of myself. Yes. So the main recording is still at whatever you set it at, but the ISO videos are the ones that are coming in separately. So those are the really sort of headline features: the multi-streaming of Ecamm, the camera switcher, and the video ISO as well, and then those updates to interview mode. And by the way, interview mode in itself is a pro feature. The ISO video is a pro feature. The camera switcher isn't. That is just a regular thing. And the multi-streaming, I think, is pro too. But aside from that, there have been loads of other little sort of tweaks and adjustments. Some adjustments to the preferences and things like that I mentioned, just sort of the way things are laid out. There's also been some updates to Stream Deck as well, and a couple of them that I really like. So one of them is the ability to create predefined comments in Stream Deck, and the way that works, I should just show you this. The way that works, if I get Stream Deck open and come over to this view. So here you can see I've got my Stream Deck application open, and in fact this one here, it's just this thing, this post comment action. So if I click here into the Ecamm and look down here, you can see post comment, and then I can type something in here. This is a pre-written comment. And then if I press the button on my Stream Deck, what you should see is that that then comes through in the chat of the live stream. So that's great for if you want to be, if you've got stuff that you do want to post throughout your stream, you can just create buttons for that. And in fact, that's what I did for this Ecamm Live Masterclass, that little thing that I did where I talked about it. That's actually a multi-action, and in there I've got two actions. One of them is to switch scene, so that switches to that little promo scene that I've got, and then this also posts a comment with a link to it at the same time. So if I just sort of demonstrate that again, I'll just quickly flick to this scene. So when I do this and flick to this scene to do my little Ecamm Live promo, what you'll notice is immediately also in the chat there has been a link posted to it as well. So having these predefined comments, I think, is a great little add-in for the Stream Deck. What else have they added in? Oh, the other one was chapter markers as well. That is pretty epic as well, because what that allows you to do is, now I've not been doing it with this. I probably should have actually, but somewhere down here, where is it gone? This one, add marker. That allows you, if I take off this one and we'll just drop that in there instead, that allows you to add a chapter marker. Now, if you just leave it blank like that, basically when you press it, what it's doing is when you press it once, it creates a text file, and this is going to have the timestamp. So we've been running now for 52 minutes 56. So it would have a 52, 56, and then just, no text. But if you add in text here, it will add that in. Now, when you're adding chapter markers into YouTube, all you basically do is you just have them written out with the time and then the chapter marker that you want to appear there. So what this means is you can either go through and have a marker for, if I say some pearl of wisdom that I want to come back to later to create a short out of, although I hate repurposing and I tend to just find it easier to just re-record it. But you could just have a button for, this is something significant that I want to come back to, and just press the button. And then at the end of the recording, as well as all the individual recordings, the ISO recordings and all that, there'll also be a text file there as well, which will have a list of all of these timestamps. So then you can go back and, see what it was that you were talking about. The other way that I have used this before is those things that I showed you in my list of scenes, where I'd got all that B-roll for different aspects of the Rodecaster, for example, or the Stream Deck Plus. I did this for as well. What I did was I had a kind of run of show, which was press this button. The other way I use this as well is for if I've got specific titles that I want to bring on screen at a particular point. Then having a multi-action, which basically takes you to the next scene, takes you to or the relevant scene, brings up a particular title or something, and also adds in the chapter marker. If you've got a run of show like that, then you could literally just have a button that you press for each one when you're moving on to the next segment, brings up that title, switches to that scene, brings in that B-roll, whatever it happens to be. And as you're going through just naturally with your run of show, then at the end, it's going to spit out a chapter list that you can just then upload to YouTube. So I mean, I should have done that for this, really, shouldn't I? There you go. It's so great, but I'm not actually using it today. But I do use it when I do these sort of predefined things, rather than it can sort of screw you up when you start going off script, and I tend to do that a lot in these more casual live streams. So that was something that was added in. The other thing that was added in was volume levels for the Stream Deck Plus. I've still yet to do my full Stream Deck Plus review. I do love it. It is a great companion to the regular Stream Deck. And by the regular, I mean the XL. So if I come back to this, I'll come to my this top-down shot. Hopefully, there we go. That's a little bit zoomed in, isn't it? That's a bit useless. Let me try and fix that. I can fix that in here. If I click on that camera, and then I'll just zoom it out a bit. Better. I was obviously demoing the Rodecaster last time because I've still got the Rodecaster Masterclass little thing up there. But you can find out about that if you want to learn more about the Rodecaster. Then do by all means head over to rodecastermasterclass.com. And that is similar to the Ecamm Masterclass in that I do update that with all of the updates that come to the Rodecaster firmware. But what I wanted to show you was this on the Stream Deck Plus. We now have these knobs here, and we had this before on the Loop Deck, the doorstop over here. But this now has the volume controls for things in Ecamm. So as I rotate the dials in here, it is going to change the volume in Ecamm. Maybe I can just show you what that actually looks like. I'll just come into demo mode for a second. So I've probably got a few too many things on the screen here. Let me get that out of the way. So here is the volume levels in Ecamm, and then you can probably see in the top corner that I've also got the levels down here. So if I turn the effects, you can see how it's actually turning the effects level up and down. So as I twiddle this dial here, it is turning the effects in in Ecamm itself. And then you've also got guests as well. So I've just noticed that it's not normally that slow to respond. I'm wondering what's causing that, but that's actually a little bit slow to respond today. Interesting. That's been flawless up until now. So I don't know quite what's going on there. But the other thing, though, it's got is guests. And this is where really it is very valuable, is when you've got interview guests coming in and you want to be able to tweak their individual volumes. And at the moment, I've just got one dial and it says guest one. But one of the things that you can do with the Stream Deck, with the Stream Deck Plus, I should say, if I switch over to Stream Deck Plus, is for these dials, you've got what are called what is it called now? It's called a stack, a dial stack. That's it. So what you can do is you can basically create a dial stack, which is a bit like the interface is a bit like multi-actions on a regular Stream Deck button. So I've added a dial stack onto here, and then in these 4 actions, you can see that I've basically just added the Ecamm Live input level, and I've got 4 of them, and those are for interview guest 1. And then you can basically select any of the Ecamm things. So primary, secondary, mic, movie, system audio, Skype, interview, sound effects. And so interview is the sort of global interview settings, but then you've also got guests 1 to 10 down here as well. So what that means is that at the moment, this dial is for guest 1, but if I just press it, it's going to cycle through to guest 2, guest 3, guest 4, and so on. So pressing the button then cycles through them. So I found it logical to say, right, well, I've got one dial which is for my regular Ecamm effects for volume and things like that, and then the other one is for interview guests. So yeah, that is a nice little introduction, a nice little addition, I should say, with Stream Deck. And yeah, the chapter markers. There's a couple of great things, but yeah, those chapter markers, totally agree with Keely, are really cool. And Doug is busy doing Amazon testing. So that is specifically, I mentioned it right at the beginning. Ecamm, Ken and Glenn said, "Oh, no new major features coming," in their Q&A in December. But then literally yesterday dropped this, Amazon comments. And that is massive to people who do anything on Amazon because, very few, there's only Be Live, I think, as I said earlier, that do allow commenting or take in the comments. And that was, one of their big sort of, whatever the word is, highlight features was to be able to bring those in. So I'm so pleased that Ecamm now brings them in. If you're doing any streaming on Amazon, there was a way to do it before using, what was it, Video Ninja or Ninja something, I can't remember the full the thing of it, Stream whatever it's called, the one that allowed you to sort of pull them in, but it was really kludgy and a real sort of pain in the neck to actually do. So it's great that we've now got those in. It is indeed Friday the 13th. Well, actually, fortunately, I'm safe because it is Saturday the 14th for me. So, hey, Eileen, great to see you here. Someone else who I'm sure will be happy about the new Amazon commenting feature over in Ecamm. And that is, I mean, as I say, let me just bring up just once again to just reiterate how many things have been added in here, because it just blew my mind when I went through and looked at this whole list. It is just quite a mammoth list of updates. And this is what spurred me to make this video, is just scrolling through all of these things to see how many things have been added in. So I obviously cannot go all the way through each and every one of these things that we've got in the beta. Who knows what else might squeeze its way in there before the major release? And as I say, it's not been formally announced yet when it is, so who knows? But it is going to be packed. And we get these incremental updates as beta users, and we sort of lose sight of what a massive leap forward this is going to be for the majority of people who aren't on the beta program and are just going to update from 3.8, whatever it is, to 4. It's going to be another game changer. So yeah. That is about it. And Doc is going to be. Have you got a link to that, Doc? Can you drop a link to your Amazon live stream in the chat, and then we can all head over there and and check out the chat feature. Oh, and hello, just in time. Hello, Ecamm. That's either Doc, Katie, or someone else. Maybe Doc's got two keyboards going. But yeah, drop your Amazon link in, or I can find it. In fact, is it Doc Rocks? Or I'm sure you'll get it. But we're all going to head over to check out Doc on Amazon anyway. I can't find his link. If you want to find me on Amazon, it's takeonetech.live is my Amazon Live. And if you want to find my Amazon shop, it's takeonetech.shop. Simple. It's Doc. So Doc is just setting up now. What's your general Amazon thing then, Doc? Let's find that, because you can just get the regular link to Doc Rock. We'll find out. I'll just do this. So Amazon usually .shop/.rock. I just typed Doc with CK there. There we go. It'll be in here. There we go. So all click on that link, and if you haven't already, then go and follow as well. We need the follows. So head over to there, and we'll head over there and check you out shortly as well. But that is it for the Ecamm wish list. That we've basically got all that we wished for, or all that I wished for. I can't wait to see what's coming in in 4.1. But that's all for now. If you have been watching, thank you very much, and if you've been in the chat, thanks for being here so much. And if you're watching on the replay, then you can find some more great videos all about Ecamm right over here. And I just want to say a big thank you to all of my channel members as well. I really appreciate your support, much appreciated. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you soon.